Hi everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I'm in the other shed. I'm headed to the other one, but I wanted to show you whenever I got giant messes in here. Because people often ask me, how do you keep stuff so... Look, it's not always that way. I try to make it that way just because I work better in that environment, but it's not always that way. We've been working like crazy. Sales have been really good. We're going to talk about a bunch of those today. But I want to address something that... Because I was at an actual yard sale, like having it the other day, it wasn't mine, but it kind of sort of was. I'll explain in a minute. And it's just a totally different feel when you're on the other side of that garage sale table. I also want to talk about something in relation. I was hearing it at this particular garage sale, which we'll talk about. And I was so surprised at how many people were passing up good money. And then I thought, you know what, I hear this all the time. I don't often talk about it on my channel. People will always tell me, you're always talking about time versus money, but you take on this type of item and it's just dumb. And I've never shipped that stuff and I'd never do whatever. And then we talk about their sales and their sales aren't amazing. Y'all, this is key for some folks, and this doesn't apply to everybody, but I want to get into this topic. There's a lot of people who complain about not making any money on eBay or not making sales, and they refuse to do certain things that will bring them high dollar sales. It's a cool little Coach wristlet, and a lot of those type of items that I'm going to talk about today, this is stuff that we just shipped. The previous video is actually being filmed the same day. I got back from a little trip, and we have a working trip. There was 44 sales or something, so we just made 2 videos in one day. This little Coach wristlet sold. Did it sell for $30? I think it did. $29.95 for that one, plus shipping. So as many of you know, I was down in Florida last week, which is maybe, I don't know when you're seeing this, but maybe 10 days ago at this point when you're watching it. And Dave had a yard sale. We went picking. I got this thing in my way. I'm going to have to get around it. We went picking for 3 days down there. Did really, really well. The one day of the highway sale was the worst day for me, not for everybody. But the picking down there is just amazing. Speaking of amazing, this was a sale. It was a really overpriced sale. And boy, I get just torn up. And this has been happening a lot to me lately. I see more comments, really more than ever, in the comments about, and I pay more than I used to for stuff, how awful I am and how awful. And it's not about me. I don't read it that way. It's really about us. We do what we do. But I paid $1 a piece for these wrestling figures because I've bought a ton of wrestling figures over the years, and a lot of them just simply aren't even worth listing. And so these I could not find anywhere. They have a funky name. I can't remember what they're called. All right, I just looked it up. Unmatched Fury Platinum Edition. And I could not find any of these when I was there, and I wasn't going to overpay for them. But when I brought them home, some of them had really good value. This one sold for $29.99. It's the Iron Sheik. I would have bought this one regardless, because it's the Iron Sheik, I think I have an iron. There's one right there. Any rate, and so you throw up these comps on there, and people are just irate. But I got to tell you something. Looking at the garage sale from the other perspective, and a lot of you have garage sales out there, and you know this. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. This one sold, like I said, $30 plus shipping. And I also got absolutely raked over the coals. I paid $15 for 2 jerseys. One of them, I just didn't think it was real, or it had a chance to not be real. And I had just been burned buying fake bog bags for $200, right? I make no apologies, or at least I don't make many apologies for giving low offers or making deals where there's a huge margin. Sometimes, 5 times, sometimes 6 times, sometimes 10 times, I paid $1 for this, sold it for 30. There's fees and all that, right? But 15, and I think those 2 jerseys sold for around 80 total, both of them combined. And man, I got people in there unsubbing and doing whatever. I'm like, 15 into 80? I think, and I'll probably be criticized for saying this, there is an unreal expectation for folks selling things at garage sales that they think they can really get anywhere near eBay prices for it. There is so much work that goes into this. Now, there's a lot of work that goes into garage sales too, don't get me wrong. But I saw when I was at Dave's yard sale, his willingness to sell stuff really, really cheap, and lots of stuff still wasn't being bought. People don't want to pay up if they're a reseller. They just don't. And then you have to sit around and wait for the right buyer if you're going to try to get that top dollar. It just doesn't happen. I mean, even at his yard sale where everything was dirt cheap, he took back most of, probably 90% of it didn't sell, or maybe more. Of course, most people who were going to that sale were resellers. So, I mean, I sold stuff. I sold probably $400 worth of stuff for 80 bucks, right? Because I didn't want to take it home. And, because I had a full trailer out there. This thing sold right here, y'all. It's been sitting here for a while. It sold for $79.95, I think, somewhere like that. Check out that mushroom cookie jar right there. Bought it right down the street. Paid up a little bit. I remember 15 bucks or so. That's not crazy. But I think she was asking 15 for it, or 20. I can't remember. But I wasn't going to leave it there. And I sold it for 80 plus shipping. So I was watching these folks at this yard sale. And I'm a picker. I know everything there that's got value. Dave wouldn't let me pick it because he was trying to get good deals to folks that drove. So, and I didn't ask. But Raider Edge trash can, y'all. Here's an item that I'm talking about. This is kind of the topic. This kind of thing, but especially this kind of thing right there. People were passing up large items that had tremendous value all day long. And I was like, man, why is this still here? Why is this still here? And this trash can, people look at it and they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to whatever. And it's not a problem. That's perfectly fine. But this thing right here sold for $100 plus shipping. And so before I get yelled at, look, there are people with physical limitations. There are people who make choices completely for different reasons, and it's completely legitimate. So I'm not being critical of everybody who would pass up large items. There were plenty of large items that sell for a lot of money. They were passing them up. And I get criticism, why would you take the time to do something? Even like this, people will criticize me. They'll send me emails, you should just stick to this or whatever. Man, I'll tell you what. I've run the numbers on all these things. If it takes me 20 minutes to package this, which it won't. But if it took me 20 minutes, the profit, the ROI on the item like this per hour it's so far surpasses some of this other stuff that, I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of folks out there who are complaining about not having eBay sales, but they aren't willing to sell the things that sell because they do take a little bit of work. Like VCRs, for instance. I sell VCRs all the time. They're not that hard. Now, if you're an able-bodied person who really depends on that money and you're skipping all these big things, you're missing out on some big bucks. I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, there are pickers I know, and I love, they're my buddies. They wouldn't do this. They would not ship this item and store this item. You need to take all that into account. But they would refuse it. They would walk by it because, and I've heard people say, oh, you got to ship that in the box. I'm like, that's not hard to ship. Think about it this way. If I'm going to ship this or I'm going to ship this, the only real difference is the size of the box. That's it. If you find the right size box for that item, it should really take no more time than this item, just a shade. Because paper and whatever, a little bit more in shipping material. But there's really no difference if you find the right box in time. And for me, when I see these, I already know what I'm going to ship them in. I ship them in the boxes that these rolls come in. And I know, there was blow molds there, people passing on the blow mold, people passing on all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, man, there's a lot. And I don't pass on that stuff very often. To me, I'm a little bit more afraid of fragile glass than I am of a big item. A big item just requires a big box. All right, y'all, Jess is here today. Jess might be here a lot this winter, y'all. We have bought so much. All right, hi, Jess, say hi.
Hi.
All right, these I got at a highway sale. And to be honest, I'm just as afraid of small, odd-shaped, fragile items. These antennas make me afraid more than a large item does to ship. But these are little anthropomorphic snails, and they sold for $33 plus shipping with an issue. These are probably $50 salt and pepper shakers without that issue. Odd shaped things, these aren't that odd shaped, but odd shaped things can be a little hard, or things you have to make a box for can be a little hard. But that's just the key to it, is the box. No difference. Like, there's the issue. You see how there's a chip off the end of that one right there? And I still paid, I think I paid $5 for them because it had that little tag. And really, you can tell, obviously, but somebody's gonna like those. $33 plus shipping. Very well, some people pass up. Look, I don't want to be too critical. because people do things for different reasons, and passing up on something because it doesn't fit your model is fine. But if you're passing up on something because of the your imagination tells you, I don't want to ship that and whatever, if you've done it before, I think people just overestimate the difficulty of shipping certain items. I mean, I probably shipped 100 purple ab rollers. Dave won't pick them up, right? And I'm like, why not? He's like, they're so big and whatever. I'm like, you know, you take the screws out and you lay it down flat, and this is the kind of box you put it in. So I get it, but I really don't get it, I gotta tell you. Single stitch, 1992, Martinsville, made in the USA. Not perfect, but not bad for that one right there. And easy to ship, of course. $24.95 plus shipping. I would challenge people to literally write down the time it takes to ship something compared to the money that they make, and then make those determinations. And storage is also a big deal too. Some people work in really tight spaces, so I can totally get somebody passing up on these big things. And I've got more big, I mean, look, these aren't huge, that one is. But there's big stuff, and there's a lot of money in big stuff because people don't want to ship it. So if you're struggling to find stuff, those things are out there. Maybe even go out one day looking for those bigger items, and you'd be surprised how much money is in those things, because a lot of people who do resell have yard sales, and they put those things out because they don't want to deal with them. So it might be a good strategy to start looking for some of those slightly more difficult things to ship, slightly larger things to ship, because we've been doing it, well, we've been doing it for a while, but we've been ramping it up lately, and the sales on these big items, it's just going up and up and up. There truly is less competition the larger the items get. And there's a lot of money in big stuff. Here we go, right here. Enron Field MOB hat. If you remember, I picked this one up at a sale for, I think I picked it up for 50 cents. I almost didn't grab it, to be honest with you. And then I realized it was an Enron hat. And it's the very first game there. It's a giveaway, probably Yankees and Astros. March 2000. That hat sold for $24.95 plus shipping. Maybe a good strategy for some folks who want to start trying this or expanding their horizons a little bit on larger items is to have a dedicated space where you store those items and not buy any if that's full. But as they sell, you can go pick one more up. It's kind of like the best of both worlds, where you're going to take advantage of it, but you don't always take advantage of it if your circumstances aren't right. Here's a keepsake ornament. This is Sully, Mike, and Boo. Monsters Inc. is one of those that, depending on the item, you can get good money for, and this one sold very quickly. $21.95. This is kind of an iconic one, plus shipping. I don't want people to misunderstand me. I'm not advocating for you to buy big stuff that doesn't have a good sell-through rate or doesn't sell for a good ASP at all. These boots are good. I paid up for them a little bit. I think I paid 20. They sold for 80. Is that right? What did they sell for? $74.95 plus shipping. I hear a plane. There's a little airport down the road. There's lots of planes that come over here. That's a pretty good 20 into 75 plus shipping. Sold another one of these Becca books. This one wasn't a high-end one, but it still sold for $12.30, I think, plus shipping. Got another plane dropping over there today. Now, like I said, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't. This sold for $22.95, which I'm extremely happy about because I paid $1 for it. And it's just a Ralph Lauren polo shirt. The colors and all that stuff makes it sell. And a lot of polos like that I won't pick up, but I will because of the color right there. I wouldn't buy. Would I buy this for $1 to sell it for $22.95? Would you? Would you buy that trash can to sell it for $22.95? I think most people would say no. So you really got to look at the price on it. Would you buy this to sell it for $75? Would you buy this? Yeah, I think most people, that's not breakable. This gets a little questionable. But man, some of the bigger items, I don't have great examples today, and some days I really do. I can't remember what's in that one. Oh, I know what it is. It's a blow up. It's an inflatable. But man, you know, you pay $10 for something like this, sell it for $100. The time you put into it, you're making like $50, $60 an hour. Incidentally, you're probably making more than that on that shirt per hour because the time it takes is next to nothing. So that truly is my judge right there. And I've done it for so long, I used to literally write that stuff down. I used to do it on the show. I probably should do that. Maybe I'll do that on the next episode to look at, you know, the actual profit after all the fees and all the time involved in an item. So it's kind of like this one over here, y'all. I talk about these right here. There's not much profit. I do $10.95 free shipping and sometimes go 30% off, and then it goes way, way down. But it was one listing. It's multi-quantity. Therefore, it makes it worth it because the time involved is less than a minute or a minute on each one. So here's this little knife sharpener. Sometimes knife sharpeners go really, really well. You really got to check the model number, though, because there's some that just don't sell. This one sold for $59.95 plus shipping. So I get just as many people yelling at me as for taking time on big items and they're not worth it. I probably have more people yelling at me about items like this that are small and low ASP, but I do them anyways. I buy backgammon pieces. These happen to be the bigger ones. These aren't like Bakelite. These are just plain Jane stuff. And I separate them into 2 lots most of the time. The pieces, and then the cups, the dice, and maybe the directions for the other lot. And I'll get 2 sales out of it, usually around this price, but I'll buy the game for $1, and I'll end up with 2 sales at $12.95 plus shipping. And to me, $1 into, you know, what is that, $26 plus shipping? It's 2 sales. But the time involved, the ease of it, is well worth it. I'm gonna make over a $10 profit on these because I'm into them for 50 cents. And they're easy and they won't break. Here's another example. This is great. Multi-quantity, you cannot beat it. If it's got a decent sell-through rate, multi-quantity is king. Like this. And I haven't sold a ton, but boy, they do sell. This is, I'm gonna have to take it out one at a time. I don't want to mess the tags up because these are new old stock. Hold on, well, let me just take the whole thing out and I'll grab it. It'll be easier that way. There it is, Stone Cold Steve Austin, vintage new old stock WWE bandana, $26 free shipping. 2 items from the same bin. This makes me happy. All right, now I dug them out. This is a Nike dry fit, size medium. Bought it a long time ago in Vegas, and there was multi-quantity. We sold a few. This one sold size medium, $17.95 plus shipping. And this is a youth motocross outfit, which youth is tough, y'all. This is, but for motocross, it kind of makes sense. You know, people out there spending all that money, they'll save a little bit on this. These 2 sold for $35 plus shipping. You know, oftentimes at these highway sales, they get heavily picked quickly. If you can't find stuff early, it's hard late. The stuff I do find late is the large items. And there's a bird out there going nuts. This isn't terribly large. It's actually fairly easy to ship, but it does have the wiring and stuff. It's still not hard though, you know. Just find the right box. I don't have any of those laying around. Sometimes you do got to shape it. That's the problem. Finding the right box is really the key. This one sold for 50 bucks, I think. $49.95 for this Anna Lee gingerbread man plus shipping. Found this one at a yard sale just a couple of weeks ago. Patriots. And I tell you, jerseys are hit and miss as well. But this one is Patriots. It's Salute to Service, which is good. Double XL, and it's a Gronk jersey. So this was a no-brainer to me. Didn't even have to look it up. And I got 4 jerseys for like 50 bucks or something like that. They had them at 15. I bundled together 4 for 50. I think that's right. And I knew this one would probably pay for everything, and it did, and more. This one sold for $100 plus shipping. Side note, my wife listed this one, and I saw it as soon as she listed it, and I think she listed it for $59.95. I'm like, no way, this got to be worth a little bit more than that. And I looked it up, and the comp she used wasn't a stitched one. It was like sublimated onto it, screen printed, whatever you want to call it. How you doing, Pepper? And so I changed it really quick and still got the sale at that price. So, you know, you got to be careful about different styles of jerseys, sizes, and the stitching versus no stitching and all that stuff. So that was a good sale. Sold the last batch of these Harley ornaments. This was a lot of 3, not 4, so we didn't get quite as much, but still Harley Davidson sales, y'all. $29.95 plus shipping. Let's pick these up at a sale. This one might have just aired actually on the Picker channel. And these shoes right here, I pick these little kid shoes up all the time, especially girls, because they don't beat them up as bad. But these are little, almost toddler shoes, I guess. And these don't sell for much, but at $1, if they're clean, I pick them up because I can usually get more than 10. $10.40 plus shipping, so it's probably an $8, maybe not. $7.50 profit depending on what I charged in shipping. But in and out really quick, small, very little work for those. Turner's in here visiting. I might have to do your joke later, bud, because we gotta take Reagan in practice. Seawolf hat. I put this out earlier. What? We did your joke, but this is the second video we're filming today. Look at all that. That's the first video. This is the second. That's what happens when you go away for 4 days. I have found 3 of these hats in 3 different places over the years. All $1, and I've never sold one. But I keep buying them. One finally sold. Sold for $16.96. I just think it's a cool hat. I wasn't going to leave it. $16.96 plus shipping. Turns out they're playing basketball. Out of all the ET stuff we sell over the years, shout out Ivan, my friend. This is probably the slowest seller of all of them, and one sold. Christmas is wonderful. Christmas gets stuff sold. And it's an Elliot and ET pendant. It's a little necklace. And that one goes for $5.99 plus shipping. Here's a when in doubt, parted out item. This Electrolux was part of a giant Electrolux things, and sometimes I'll part these things out, the little, what are they, filters or something? And it took a little while to sell, but it did sell. $14.95 plus shipping. Everybody's out there waiting on me to get my button gear. All right, Reagan's got a few folks to thank at CommonwealthPicker.com. What do you got?
Kyle got an ornament and a blacklight. Barry got an ornament, and Sue got a hat, fanny pack, tumbler, and number 3 Animal Man.
And Sue lives in Australia, right? And that's packaged up. Reagan's been shipping stuff out of here like crazy lately. That's Sue's package right there, going to Australia. And you might need some help with that one, maybe? Is that why you did it? Okay. Did we put 2 tumblers in there? Do you remember?
No, it's just 1, I think.
No, I think she got 2. I'm going to double check that. So, anyway, thank you, Reagan.
Bye, and don't forget to get your stickers at CommonwealthPicker.com.
I'm so glad some of this bigger stuff has sold because we've got so much incoming, y'all. Thank y'all, by the way, for a couple things. Thank y'all for using those links. I had announced that American Bubble Boy, my go-to tape, had a bunch of new products and different stuff. And a lot of people went over there and they clicked through my link and or used my code Commonwealth to buy them and get 5% off. So thank you for that. Very, very kind. You don't have to do that. I appreciate it very much. I hope your sales are driving the necessity to get more tape and all that stuff. Mine have been lately. I'm very, very grateful. And I'm grateful for all the help. My dad came by today, and Jess, of course, is here today. My wife is really sick. She has not been feeling well, so I need to take care of the kids a little bit more and try to help her out. She's got a high-grade fever, so I think it's breaking, so we'll see. Maybe I'll consider some well wishes out there. But really quick before we go, tell me down below what your limits are, either if they're physical limitations where you only sell this or you won't sell this, or if you're putting limitations on yourself because you don't want to ship large items or because there's not enough storage. Let me know. Let's just use this one as an example. Would you pick this one up for, say, $20, knowing it could sell for $100 if you have to ship it? Tell me down below what you think. Thank y'all for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next time.